Hello YouTube, my name is Skyrim, and today I would like to be taking a look back on the Surface Pro and reviewing it 5 years after the release to see if it can really stack up today. Surface Pro is a device that came out in 2012 with its little brother, the Surface RT, with the Pro clearly being the more powerful one at a higher price. It's been succeeded by the likes of the Surface 2 and 3 and the Pro 2, Pro 3, Pro 4 and Book, all variants and newer versions of the Surface Pro which have just made more advancements, but we're here to look at this device and if it still holds up today. The device is very modular and so portable, coming in at just 10.81 times 6.81 times 0.53 inches. This is such a portable device. It can be taken around anywhere on the go, and that's its major feature. And this device has only one USB port. This is a major issue. For one, if you're going to use a Bluetooth keyboard or mouse, you've got nothing else. No other area to put in a USB. This is terrible. If you're doing USB work, it's allocated to the touchscreen only, which can be frustrating to use at times. Also, other things like printers are limited when using USB. If we take a look at the charging, it actually charges via a magnetic charger, which is a cool idea for the time, but it wasn't that great and ended up being a bit dodgy. The Surface Pen also hooks into the charging slot on the side of the device. If we look underneath, we will find that there is another magnetic area. This magnetic area will be attaching Surface-related products, and notably the Surface Pro type cover. This type cover is excellent, and it keeps the modular feel of the device. I myself, however, use a Logitech Bluetooth keyboard because it's got much better spacing between the keys, and it feels a lot more comfortable in my opinion. I also like the trackpad better. And if we go under the hood of the Surface Pro, we find that the system has an i5 3317U processor. This is a dual-core processor clocked at 1700 MHz. For the time, this is good. However, things are starting to get sluggish on that processor, but it absolutely gets the job done for what it was, a reasonably low power consuming chip. If we have a look at the graphics processing unit, it is the inbuilt Intel HD Graphics 4000. It's a bit disappointing that for the price that this computer is, it did not have a discrete graphics card. Even if it was just a lower end, it would have been really nice to have that, because it does let the Surface down in a number of other areas. Although the Intel HD graphics does get the job done for very light uses, and things such as light video editing at maybe 720p resolution. The built-in storage in my model is 128GB, however there is also another version which has 64GB. The Surface Pro also has a micro SD port, which also supports SDHC and XC. This is so essential to the device. If you want to be storing anything large on here, like if you wanted to store some games, maybe some lower end games, if you wanted to store a lot of videos, you would absolutely need a micro SD. So it is crucial that they added this in, at least to free up the one USB port that they had on there. There is 4GB of RAM on the Surface Pro 1. This is adequate for the time. However, in 2017, it is of my opinion that devices like these should have 8GB of RAM. But these specs do get the job done for a snappy operating system experience. The Surface Pro boots within seconds, and this is really impressive. For general use in Microsoft Word, this is perfect. Internet browsing, watching videos, and doing emails online is quick, and this is great. It is surprising that this is stacked up, and it's easily installed Windows 10 after the Windows 8 it came with. It's just been performing very solidly in general use. What about more intensive tasks though? Gaming, for instance. Well, I can play Wizard 101, a game which is very dated. However, is still a big open world with a lot of polygons, I should say. Now I can play this game at 1920 by 1080p resolution at high detail and get 60 frames per second. So it can play MMORPGs like Wizard 101 really, really well. I was impressed that the Surface Pro could actually clock that up. And this was on low power mode too, which underclocks the CPU. That's incredible. I was very impressed by that. And if we go to look at a bit more of a powerful game, like The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, on low settings in balanced mode, I can get 60 frames per second. Bumping up the detail settings leads to a slight frame drop, but this is due actually to the Intel HD Graphics 4000. The graphics processing unit struggles to handle some of the architecture in Skyrim, but that is to be expected, and I'm impressed I can even play Skyrim portably on this device. I was really impressed by the way the Surface Pro handles these basic open world games. However, that's pretty much where it comes to a stop with gaming. You might be able to play some fan-mades, but other than that, you're not going to be able to play any new titles like Battlefield 1, GTA 5. Those big AAA games will simply not run on the Surface Pro, and that's very understandable. But if you want to play games, you can get a lot of games off Steam from probably the years 2012, maybe backwards, and they'll play. It's really impressive for gaming older games on a bit lower settings, but it gets the job done in that department, and I was impressed. When it comes to another heavy task, video editing, this Surface Pro falls flat on its arse. Firstly, Adobe Premiere Pro is really laggy. When editing, the video will skip back and forth, and it's just not a pleasant editing experience. Encoding also takes so long. I could probably grow a gigantic beard in the time that it takes. Yeah, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but literally, a 1080p video for about 10 minutes of footage would take about 3 hours, which is just pure dog crap. I would expect more from any computer, really, but considering its portability, I can let that down. What I cannot let go of, however, is the absolute horrendous battery life. I was playing Skyrim on the go, and it could barely last 1 hour, low settings, 0 brightness. That's just not acceptable. Even general usage, the computer can barely last 2 hours by itself. Now, this is the biggest drawback of this device. Considering the fact it's solely portable, that is the main draw of this device. And then for it to be held back by an awful battery life is very disappointing. This really sometimes can get on my nerves and ruin the experience sometimes. So, the Surface Pro has a nice Wi-Fi speed. I just thought I'd put that out there too. It's got the 802.11a BGN, and this is impressive, and it's pretty much needed for a device like this. Any portable devices, in my opinion, should have a very strong Wi-Fi connection, and the Surface Pro is no exception. So overall, the Surface Pro does hold up fairly well today, although it will not meet a lot of needs. Surface Pro has decent, snappy performance for basic computing tasks, and can play some very, very light games and some older games on lower settings. Surface Pro is not a powerhouse, and that is just for certain. And the battery life, not to mention, is just terrible. Overall though, if you've got a Surface Pro at home and you need it for a portable option to do Word for an hour or two, it'll get the job done, and it'll get it done pretty damn well. I give the Surface Pro in 2017 a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you so much for watching my review of the Surface Pro, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for some more reviews on technology and gameplay videos.